Welcome everyone. My name is Shaun O'Brien and I will be presenting for you a compilation of work that I have completed throughout the Technical Communications degree program at Arizona State University. I was accepted into the degree program in the spring semester of 2012. I came to ASU with an Associate of Arts degree from Arizona Western College, which I obtained in 2007. After my associates, I began working for a defense contractor in Yuma, Arizona. I worked for 4 years writing technical reports for the Department of Defense. I had always wanted to return to school for a bachelor's degree and came across information about the Technical Communications program at Arizona State. The degree program looked like a perfect fit with my work knowledge and prior education, and I decided to return to school. After about a year into the program, I ended up moving to Gilbert, Arizona for work, and I am now a technical writer for an environmental consultant. It was fairly early into the degree program when the 4 major knowledge outcomes were exposed to us. Rhetorical knowledge, critical thinking, reading and writing, process, and knowledge of conventions were each important parts of all of our assignments. I will attempt to separate each of these outcomes and highlight them with artifacts that I have completed throughout the degree program. Rhetorical knowledge is our first outcome that I'll be highlighting for you, and in my opinion the most important. As a technical communicator, it is our job to ensure that the communication addresses the specific needs of our target audience. We can accomplish this by addressing questions about our target audience through rhetorical analysis. By analyzing the potential primary, secondary, and tertiary audiences, we can ensure that each of their needs are met. In General Principles of Multimedia Writing course, one of our earlier assignments was a proposal memo. This artifact demonstrates some of my earlier use of rhetorical analysis. This assignment required us to address the need of our target audience, and we were required to think of a real-life situation that we could propose fixing. This assignment forced me to utilize rhetorical analysis to consider the tone and content required to ensure that the objective of the communication was met. And this artifact highlights my attempt at utilizing rhetorical decisions to address tone and language to tailor-make my proposal in an effective piece of communication. I wrote this proposal to my supervisor at the time, requesting a change in the training department for our section. I utilized my familiarity with the topic to sound confident in my approach and recommendation. The language maintained a professional tone and addressed the facts regarding the issue. I feel that my technical description assignment for the same course also demonstrates the use of rhetorical knowledge. In this assignment, we were tasked with providing a detailed description of a piece of equipment to someone with no knowledge of it. I chose to write a very detailed yet simple explanation of the M2A3 infantry fighting vehicle. I once again utilized my familiarity with the subject to speak confidently in my tone and language, while at the same time not using overly complicated terms or words that might confuse the reader. I also created diagrams and illustrations of the platform in my description. I used rhetorical analysis to make decisions on the proper layout, content, language, and tone of the document. Each of our assignments in technical communications use this next outcome, which is critical thinking, reading, and writing. Critical thinking was necessary in each of the assignments from planning and execution. We had to perform research on our topics and study the materials in order to understand the objectives. Each assignment challenged our writing abilities as well as our ability to effectively communicate to our audiences through not only written words but also visual elements. The final proposal for the proposal course demonstrated each of these outcomes. This assignment required critical thinking to find a real RFP and to write a formal proposal in response. I needed to critically think of what topics I wanted to write and find a real RFP in that topic. I finally came across an RFP for shoplifting program through the city of Phoenix. I performed research on shoplifting, located a place for counseling sessions, and created a budget for the program. I ended up writing a fairly detailed formal proposal in response to this program. I created visual elements, figures, and also figured out a class schedule and even researched salaries for different staff positions. Another assignment that I feel demonstrates these outcomes was the virtual presentation for General Principles of Multimedia Writing. The virtual presentation needed to demonstrate my knowledge of the PSA process as it applied to the technical communication and to effectively communicate this information to fellow students. I utilized critical thinking to demonstrate completely the PSA process, and I crafted a script and designed a PowerPoint presentation to illustrate these findings. I utilized rhetorical decisions in the execution of this presentation design, and I utilized for the first time audio in a PowerPoint presentation. I also for the first time uploaded a video to YouTube. Throughout the technical communications program, each of the assignments has required some form of process in order to accomplish a well-polished piece of communication. Several levels of editing and proofreading have gone into each of the artifacts that I've completed in this program. I've enlisted the aid of friends, family, fellow students, co-workers, and even the tutoring center at ASU. I feel that my course project for the Principles of Writing with Technology course demonstrates this outcome. This project was truly something of our own creation, with approval coming from the instructor. In my project, I decided to create a website regarding social media and its impact on gender communication. I utilized rhetorical analysis in the creation of this report, but it took several iterations and input from the instructor and classmates before I felt it was ready for final grading. The feedback obtained from classmates and the instructor played a critical role on the effectiveness of the website. In General Principles of Multimedia Writing, I completed a technical instruction assignment that I feel also demonstrates the process. For this assignment, we needed to create a new Lego toy and provide instructions to help someone else assemble it. After the first iteration of the instructions, I asked for several friends, relatives, and coworkers to attempt to assemble the toy and provide feedback. Once enough people had reviewed it, I compiled the critiques and edited the manual to fix the issues that were mentioned. This assignment demonstrates how, without feedback and editing and technical communication, the message can be lost or misunderstood completely. For each of our artifacts, format and structure for technical communication has been a major focal point. The General Principles of Multimedia Writing class exposed me to a large number of communication genres. It is important to place communication in the appropriate format to ensure that it is communicated effectively to the target audience. A memo may work in certain circumstances, but an email may be more effective in others. The policy manual assignment demonstrates the appropriate format for such a manual and illustrates how this information in any other genre may be confusing and not work. I've used similar formats as this in my professional applications as a technical writer. It had a professional style and layout and maintains the idea that it is important. The investigation report assignment that I completed in the Technical and Scientific Reports course utilized a standard report format. The course textbook illustrated and outlined several formats and the placement of information for logical order and sense for the reader. This artifact demonstrates a lot of the concepts learned throughout the previous courses with regards to balance and consistency for visual readability. The utilization of visual aids like the tables helped to break up the text appropriately and still followed the format of the report, with the introduction, method, conclusion, and recommendations clearly placed. The nature of the report was less formal than the final proposal or policy manual assignments, which is why cover pages and table of contents were not utilized. I think this shows a good use of knowledge of conventions to understand when certain elements are appropriate. I feel that I made a great decision in returning to school and taking the Technical Communications program at Arizona State University. I feel that the program has helped to mold me into a better technical communicator, and I have adopted the teachings in this program in my professional life as a technical writer. I feel that I can successfully make the appropriate rhetorical decisions and utilize critical thinking, writing, and reading to complete my professional assignments. I will continue to utilize a well-designed and thorough process with teamwork and review, as well as knowledge of conventions in selecting the appropriate genre for right application to effectively communicate to the audience. I owe this knowledge to my education and to the Technical Communications program.